Unmute that. Test the microphone. Microphone is working fantastic. A few countdown. Let's get the show ready to go. All right. Have some TV. All right. So where are we? Let's see. We can do a quick remix. What's this? A little intro, and then we switch. You will never notice it. Technology, all that good stuff. Welcome everyone to the Black Bear broadcast. Today is the 52nd show, I believe, and this might be the third one on a dedicated channel. So hey, congratulations to everyone who contributes. Because people generally want Black people to progress, which is a good thing. Believe it or not, a good thing. Now, let's go through the motions as we have to do. Let us do that. Let me actually first click on view read mode. I mean, give me more space and then do that. Watch it grow. Look at that magic. Look at that. Look at that magic. I mean, in the future times we'll have 3D and all that kind of stuff, but now we'll deal with 2D. All right. PDF. All right, cool. Anyway, so after much research, I unfortunately concluded that currently Black people are collectively inadequate. This is also most unfortunate. With Black people as a individual, there's some remarkable, fantastic, super good people who do wondrous skills and all over. But unfortunately, the technique of actually working as a team, a bit amateurish at the moment. So we're going to see if we can work on that. See if we can be team players. So let's move through it. So obviously we're going to be, especially this week, we're going to be talking and communicating. This show, even though I talk, I'm not the star of this show. Black people are the star of the show, and the contributors do so much more than I could ever do. And it's for them, or us, I should say. So, but in order to really have a good show, we have people coming from all over the world, different temperaments, different understandings, different backgrounds. So everyone might just talk at different angles, and we might be prone to maybe trigger someone, upset someone, because the topic is quite severe at times, and all that good stuff. So we adopt the 4D values. That's what we adopt. That's right. And the 4D values are discipline, dedication, dignity, and discernment. So if you can use these 4 things, it tends to make communication that just that little bit more easier. And feel free to adopt this whenever you're trying to practice Black Bearman. I recommend it. I really do. I really do. All right. Now, also, with language, can we try to, if possible, use descriptive language and not derogatory language? The funny thing is, with YouTube and algorithms, I don't think you can actually, on certain aspects, use certain languages, apparently, on some kind of streams. I think they block things. Not too sure. I saw some kind of message about that. Well, either way, whether it does or doesn't, we're prepared for that because we try to be disciplined when we speak, even though the topics might be high anxiety. We try to stay, well focused and realize there's a bigger goal, and all that good stuff. So let's move on. All right. So some words we can use. We won't go over them, but if you have the screen, feel free to pause, come back in future time, and the words on the left, try to use none of those. And words on the right, replacement of those. Might find things a bit more easier. Don't know. You let me know. It works for me. Works for me. All right, cool. Now, some people might be asking in their head, what is Black Bearman? Well, Black Bearman is Black people helping Black people on Black issues for Bearman. That's it. That's what the show's about. Black people helping Black people for Bearman. There you go. Now, voila. Let's. So that means Black Bearman is a lifestyle. So this whole broadcast is about the lifestyle of Black Bearman. That's what it is. Hopefully, we can make it as trendy as possible. We might not be the ones to change the world, but we might be able to influence the ones who will do it. So let's try our best while we can, all right? And let's try to spread the lifestyle of Black Bearman. Oh, yeah, fantastic. Excitement, tone, voice. Good. Anyway, so just a quick thing that you all have to do nowadays. Copyright disclaimer under section, definitely have to do this week, to be honest. Copyright disclaimer under section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowances made for fair use of purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by the copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. All right. So what that means is we will be using, just videos on the internet just for us to study for scholarship purpose and educational purpose. Not because we're trying to claim any copyright or saying this our work. And I'll say the names so you can see. You can go to those pages and click like and all that good stuff, right? So that's why we say this. because strike galore, baseball, all that good stuff. Right, cool. So fantastic topic this week, very important one. Can't look past it. And that is, oh, there's no star there. I should have put a star on that one, man. Shame on me twice. Oh well, fair enough. Are black women hesitant to speak candidly to black men about challenges? Well, and there's two spaces after now. If so, now is the time for you to have your voice. Yeah, so what we're saying. So if those who are new, you won't be aware of this, but when we first started the Black Batman broadcast, maybe after I think around about the 20th episode, around about then, we started having women's section or women's months. So we dedicated a few weeks to women and women issues. And one thing we always want to, we're definitely going to be hearing the perspective from males and females, but we definitely have a ladies first attitude here with these shows, and we also definitely want to make sure that women don't feel like their voices are not being heard. That's not what it's about. And also, with discipline, dedication, and all the rest of that, we're hopefully, if there is, when it comes to public debate or public shows or just personal family talking or relationship talking, hopefully we can offer advice of how best to communicate if there is a breakdown. Now, actually, all over the world, this goes everywhere, and different areas, different things happen. So it is correct to say that just because maybe a trend is happening or a certain person says something, that these things are gospels, and black women don't talk about how they feel to men, because there's tons who do. But in this standpoint, because this is Black Bearman, we will be focused on those who don't, you see, and try to find out those who do, how they do it, and those who don't, why don't they do it, and how can we assist in making sure they do, or maybe we might discuss that maybe they shouldn't. Who knows? Because once again, someone might come off the angle that makes sense. But right now, I think it's definitely necessary for black women to express how they feel, if at all. And we definitely want them to know, there's a space here, and hopefully we can build a platform here. And week to week, month to month, we shall be going over best ways to communicate. Just because sometimes as time goes by, things are forgotten, and things are taken for granted, and we don't know. And usually, unfortunately, when these things happen, people make stories in their head. We'll do it, rightly or wrongly, and sometimes those stories might be bullseye, sometimes not so much. So that's why we have to communicate out loud. I mean, I do remember many times when I would I would speak publicly in these public debates and this kind of stuff. And, I would get messages from women saying, oh, why don't you ever have women? Why don't women do this? And there is nothing from stopping women coming down or participating. But sometimes the demeanor or the behavioral patterns of men, naturally how men, when they get around other men and they talk loud and they move around and this kind of stuff, to some women, this is not appealing. And this might, make women not necessarily want to talk loud or talk in those kind of groups or whatever. So this has to be aware. Men have to be aware of this and this kind of stuff. So it's something as simple as that could really be misinterpreted, as in women are not welcome because they don't see women there, or they don't hear women there, and maybe women don't feel like they really want to be part of that kind of interaction. So we always definitely try to set up certain places where men and women can talk, on a level where everyone can understand each other and it makes sense, and the content takes priority, not the delivery, not the anxiety beforehand or afterhand. And also one thing we're going to do is, many women, and congratulations to a certain level, are very kind and very nice, and there's certain things they might want to say to men and they don't. And in certain aspects that might be a good thing, but in certain aspects not so much. And maybe it's a worry about reaction. And I think, the way I say is that's the wrong way around. I think men need to be more attentive and more aware of women's feelings rather than the other way around. I think, unfortunately, there's been a lot of shoe swapping in the community in some areas, not all, of course. And women have taken some roles that may be best suited for men, and vice versa. Who knows? Perhaps I'm correct, perhaps I'm not correct. You let me know. Now, let's move on. So, once again, we're just going to just try to just have some, basic kind of ways to process information that might make communication ever so slightly easier. And this is what I'm pushing forward at the moment. Let me know if it works. So I pushed this a few episodes back, and let's just try to adopt these rules for now. And that is when black men talk to black men, so black men to black men, there will be facts, seems to be the priority, and the so-called facts, and then feelings is secondary, right? But I think when black men talk to black women, I would say try to reverse that. Try to make the feelings come first. Try to understand what is being said, why is it being said, and even if it is not correct or misinterpreted, try to understand why it has been, and try to take the conversation from the feeling standpoint. This is just a prototype that I would push forward. That might be beneficial. Men and women historically have done things differently for a manner of reasons, and let's try to be aware of that on a collective level when we try to communicate ideas that's necessary and important. We don't want people to not say things because they're more wary of the reaction rather than the importance of the content. That's never good. No, sir. No, sir. So what else do we have for you? All right. So I pushed this last week, and this is just something that it's a default, that when you think of this as a default, it might also impact how you communicate, maybe. And that is this default concept that black men protect black women and black children. Black women protect black children. I think I said this last week, and I think a guest said, yeah, and black men protect black men. Yeah, well, that's good. And, black men protect black, yeah, that's cool. But really, I'm trying to get down to the fundamental basics, right? If you think about this concept in your head, when you're communicating, it makes it easier. It's just a psychological thing, but let's see. So we don't have to complicate with, and black men, literally, you're a man, you protect women, children, you're a woman, you protect children. As just a default collective concept. There don't need to be no scenario building, just as a default concept. If you understand that, things become easier. If you disagree, let me know, but that's how we're pushing. Now, what else do we have? All right, error prone. We won't come back there. So now, we're at the time of the show where we are going to jump onto some videos. Now, I'll try not to be too plentiful with the videos. Now, remember, there's 3 videos. Well, there's a few, but I'm only going to maybe play 2 unless there's a request. These 2 come from my brothers and sisters in America. And obviously, with America, there's things that's different, but sometimes it correlates, and sometimes women and men jump onto American shows, all this good stuff, right? And this big up brother Ultra. He's a man married to black woman. We have black kids. 10 points for that, brother. 10 points. When we own our own kind of economic website, we'll give you some points for that, so you can have free stuff. Good man. Excellent. 10 points. Now, what are we saying? So which one to play first? Remember, these are the opinions of these shows, and I'll promote these shows. So I'll play the first one. I forgot what it's called because I did a quick, Google search and clicked on stuff. Shame on me. But this correlates with ideas of the show. And what we're dealing with here is women speaking their mind about certain things that they otherwise wouldn't want to do. It isn't necessarily about the topic they're saying. It's the ability to say so, maybe have a constructive conversation from black woman to black man. That's what we're dealing with. Oh, yeah. So let's go for the first one. I try to be fast, but then again, it might be slow. Let's go. All right. Okay,
Hey, Moves. In this video, I give commentary based on my opinion.
Right.
Nothing is to be taken as factual. We are just here to have conversation. We don't expose and we don't sip tea on this channel. I'm giving you real talk straight, no chaser. Let's see if you can handle it.
All right. So this lady's show, and she seems to be using StreamYard. It hasn't paid because you can see the logo. Good. Save your money. Buy certain number. All right, good. I think Yanni. Let me get a link. Let me skip all this intro.
Versus the black.
Real talk with Yanni. That's it. So if you Google that, there's promotion love. I'm not taking your content. We're just reviewing it because you talk about stuff we want to deal with. It's probably like a few months, a year old. Who knows? But Yanni's on the internet. Look for her. This is her trying to talk to black men. Let's see how much we can listen to. Voila.
Hi guys, it's Yanni and I'm back with another video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the black man versus the black woman. Why are we at war? Why is there a gender war among the black community? So
this woman's opinion is, and maybe people agree, disagree, but this is what she's going to say.
Let's go ahead and get into today's video. When it comes to this topic of conversation, I feel like we're in competition with each other. And there's a lot of talking, a lot of bashing, a lot of hate, a lot of disrespect, and there's not a lot of listening, there's not a lot of understanding, and there's just not a lot of trying to really be emotionally intelligent enough to handle this conversation. And a lot of it has to do with when we speak on either party. You know, if you're a black man and you're speaking on a black woman, or if you're a black woman speaking on a black man, you have gone through things that are triggering. So when we try to have conversations like this, we are bashing, we are spewing hate, we are showcasing bitterness, and we are not emotionally intelligent enough to have these kind of conversations. And it's because we're not going to therapy. We're not acknowledging what we have gone through to where we can literally let it be in the past. Or if you're currently going through something, we are not getting the help that we need in order to overcome our situation. So in order for us to have a conversation when it comes to this gender war that's among the black community, we need to be emotionally intelligent enough to have the conversation. And a lot of us are not, because we are taught to be the strong one. We're taught to pray when it comes to the black church. We're taught to be a ride or die. We're taught to stay down and be down for our man when it comes to being a black woman. Or when it comes to a black man, they are taught to not express themselves and not be emotionally available, emotionally aware. So there's just this space that we have created within the black community where now we're at war with each other. And to be honest, we have been at war for some time now. It didn't just start this year or last year or 5 years ago. We have been at each other's throats for some time now. And I'm going to give you a little bit of history when it comes to the black community and how this gender war originally started and where it started. But first, I'm going to say this: if the comments get disrespectful, I will be turning off the comments, because that really defeats the purpose of this video. If you cannot be respectful, if you cannot be emotionally intelligent, if you are easily triggered, if you have issues that you are still trying to deal with, or maybe your current situation doesn't make you emotionally intelligent right now to have this conversation, then please click off the video, because I don't want to create a video that's going to cause, or it's going to add more fuel to this fire. So when it comes to this video, my expectations, or what I really want, is for us to find understanding, for us to hear either party out. And I will say this, and I have played a huge part in this as well. As a black people, we generalize each other a lot, and you don't really see other races doing it. And I know where we get it from. We get it from.
So for those just joining in, what we're doing now is today's topic is, let's see if I can read it correctly. I should have a photograph from memory, but I no longer have one. It's are black women hesitant to speak candidly to black men about challenges, right? If so, now is your time to hear your voice. And what we're doing, we're playing two videos of two sisters in the States who have different views about certain topics, and they're trying to speak candidly. I was just trying to get the ball rolling, all that kind of stuff. And that's what we're doing. This lady, sister Annie, I think her name is, is just giving her testimony. She's going to give some solutions in a minute or so. Just bear with her. She's preparing.
From white people generalizing us as thugs, loud, ghetto, you know, and so we turn around and we generalize each other because it's being done to us. White people project their stereotypes onto us, and they also project generalization onto us, and so we turn around and we do it to the next person. Doesn't matter if it's male or female. So let's go ahead and get into the history of how this gender war started. And I have to go back to the civil rights movement. We could go back to slavery, but I don't want to spend all day on this video. I really want to go back to the civil rights movement, because honestly, that was the last time within our history where black women and black men were a unit. And now we are broken. There's no unity. There's no working together. There's no understanding.
So the sister is saying that in America, when the civil rights time, that there seemed to be more of a unit, and then today not so much. So she's what she's pushing for.
The next person, we as women, in a lot of cases, we don't even know our positions when it comes to being with a man. We think that being superior to a man or going head to head with a man is our place, and it's not. And when it comes to a man being a man, they are not stepping up. They are not being leaders. And so a lot of times we as Black women find ourselves in leadership positions that Black men should be in. There's just a lot of dysfunction that is causing this gender war. And this is why I started the brand The Feminine Yoni. And if you haven't, go ahead and subscribe to that channel, because I truly believe that if you follow a feminine lifestyle as a Black woman, we could literally change the whole narrative.
So the sister now is talking about a solution that she's pushing forward for her perceived challenge, and this is what she's talking about.
When it comes to the Black community. And how can we do that? By taking care of ourselves, by understanding our positions as Black women, by not trying to be a man, by not believing or living the Black independent woman rhetoric, and by standing in our power as a feminine woman. I truly believe that the Feminine Yoni, a woman's guide to a feminine lifestyle, can really help save the community. And it doesn't involve a Black woman being an activist warrior for a Black man. It doesn't mean the Black woman has to be an activist warrior for the entire Black community. It simply means that she goes and she stands in her power, in her truth as a feminine woman, and she just focuses on that, and everything else will fall into place. I truly believe that. That's why I started the brand, because I truly feel that it's the answer to.
All right, so we'll cut there, and she's saying, with women more embrace femininity, things will fall in place. Let me skip this to make sure. Oh, there was something about men she wants to drop. Let me just get
very, very powerful. And I talked about that in my previous video. So I truly believe that if more women would go back to being the feminine woman, it would cause Black men to step up to the plate, to be leaders, and to be the men that we need them to be based off of our feminine influence. That's my thought process when it comes.
Cool, excellent. We're gonna play another video now. I don't know if people agree or disagree, but that's a good thing for us to bring up. Also, let me correct a mistake. I said that she was using StreamYard and didn't pay to get rid of the logo. I'm so slow. It's actually me who's using StreamYard, sorry, and I haven't paid to get rid of the logo. So I found shame's on me. There you go. Cool. All right. Anyway, let's. Where are we? So now, obviously, a different video I'm about to put up. Very different. Probably a bit more sharp topic, and one that might be more high anxiety prone. And this, but we have to go through it. And once again, it depends on the people making the streams. So let's see if I can find it. Okay, following.
This
all right, so this is a lady called. Shame on me. She's probably very popular, because I'm ignorant to popularity and trend. I forgot her name, but I'm sure her logo will fly up. And this is, go to her page, like her, and all that good stuff. But this individual is talking about a gentleman who was asking women, do they feel protected? So her particular angle is Black women not being protected by Black men. This is a question we should ask today. Do Black women feel this? If not, what is to be done about it? All this good stuff. But let's hear the narration. Once again, this is in the States, but a lot of stuff correlates with what's going on in England. Some so much, some not so much. But let's have a sneak peek, Bon Appetit, and see what's happening.
Video was centered around the lack of Black male protection, which was actually posed by a Black male TikToker. And there was a series of responses from Black women that I felt was imperative that we need to really dissect and understand how we got here, how we contribute to this, and how we can eradicate this problem that has been absolutely plaguing us. I am in no way telling any Black woman to leave her husband, to cut off her male family members. I'm not saying that. The following of what I'm saying is about the collective, or those on average who are engaging in said behavior. And it is about time that we stop thinking emotionally and identify how problematic it has been for us to silently suffer after bearing witness to an obvious deviation of normality that is contraindicating to our mental health, physical health, our finances, and the well-being of ourselves as well as our children. It has become a household staple to ignore, neglect, and react compliantly to the use of black women. Before I get into my commentary, please like the video. Let's get this video over 10,000 likes. This video is extremely important. And also ensure that you subscribe to my channel so that you never miss any of my future uploads. There's a user on TikTok that goes by the name Beard Kicks. He said last year he made a post on Facebook asking black women if they felt protected by black men, and he basically said that he got a bunch of no's. So he asked this question on TikTok to see if the responses would be different.
Peace. Happy Monday. I have a question for my sisters, my black women. I don't need none of y'all white people chiming in with your rebuttals and your hypotheticals. This ain't the post for that. Ladies, my sisters, do you feel protected by black men? I made a post a year ago on Facebook. It popped up in my memories today. In regard to black women not feeling protected by black men. The responses on that post a year ago upset me, troubled me. And then even today, I got a response saying that really nothing has changed. So I need to know, ladies, what do y'all think? Do you feel safe? Do you feel protected? And I'm not talking about your immediate circle because, you know, and brothers, fellas, we got to do better. I'm talking on a large scale, not individually, because I know I do my part, but together, collectively, we got to do better.
Majority of them said no, and I'll let you see their responses. I'm going to explain to you why I actually have a problem with his video. Firstly, I feel like it wasn't made in good faith. I feel that he wasn't necessarily asking this because he legitimately wanted to know the answer to this question. The second thing is, at this point, to even ask something like this online, I feel like he should be embarrassed. And any other black man that's posing these sort of questions online, you really should be embarrassed that there is a need for you to even ask this, which would answer your question, because if you felt that this was occurring and you knew that this was occurring, there would be no need for you to ask it. Something else, when the women were responding in his comment section, he was just outright gaslighting them. Now, you had some women that, of course, black male identified that were also gaslighting other black women. So there's a response here. This black woman said, "I feel protected." And those that...
There's some back context. If you're not aware, the black male identified woman, the concept is where, you know, a woman sees the world through the lens of a black male, and they say this because they say that that particular individual will be more defensive of the black man, but also not necessarily pull them up on their responsibilities in community. That's where that term comes from. If you didn't know, carry on.
That don't have to choose better. And Beard Kicks responded and said, "I'm just trying to see how black women are saying they don't feel safe around all of us based on a few experiences. Sounds like white folks, kinda." Another responder said, "Yes, I feel protected because I'm around, air quote, black men, real brothers, not..." He said, "Peace, sister. Thank you for commenting. You're the only one to differentiate. Majority of these comments sound like when white folks profile us." And another commenter said, "No, we are on our own." And he said, "Peace. I'm sorry you feel that way." Then someone else said, "Nope, I've seen guys let other guys a lady and did nothing." He says, "So that isolated incident makes you not feel safe around all black men?" So by and large, a lot of black women were responding no. In his comment section, a few were actually agreeing with him, but as you can see, he's very much so dismissing black women's concerns. He's not even caring to understand how they even reach this point, why they feel that way. He just automatically goes into defense mode and starts comparing black women who said no to white people. And even there was some black women that weren't even saying all black men, and he went ahead and did the ever popular, "Well, are you saying this about all?" And you guys have to be careful with that. Sometimes some black men will go out of their way to say, well, you need to make the distinction from those type of black men and the ones like us, because what he's really saying is, I actually fit the criteria of those said black men, so that's why I'm personally offended by you holding us accountable, because not only are you talking about him, but his actions are reflective of my own actions, and I don't want you holding either of us accountable. Not only am I not going to hold him accountable for not protecting you, I'm for sure not going to hold myself accountable. And then also notice how he compared her to white people. And this is due to the fact that there are some black men that associate accountability with whiteness, and they're used to being revered as this infallible king, especially by black women. And anytime someone is telling him that his behavior is negatively impacting black women in some way, he associates it with whiteness because he has been socialized to believe that accountability for black men automatically equates to bashing. This is why sometimes when a non-black person might have an honest critique of black men, because he's so used to being able to rely on the I'm a victim because of my race, he will then default to that even when a black woman is accurately calling out some of his behavior that is detrimental to the black community. The dismissiveness that a lot of black men have when black women are airing out their plight, they don't compare that benign neglect to whiteness. The same way that there are some non-black people that will react in similar ways when we're speaking about anti-blackness and they deny it and they deflect. Somehow they don't see that within themselves, but they see it within you when it comes to accountability. I wanted you guys to see some of the responses of black women who stitched his video, and I guess stitching is when somebody responds or like reacts to a video on TikTok. Some of these videos, I must give you a trigger warning in advance, but you can learn from them all nonetheless.
All right, so what's gonna happen is now they're gonna. I mean, obviously, this is the perspective of the women who's on the show, who tuned in, whatever. But some might feel that it's true, and you should speak up. And maybe in the comments, if you feel you are not protected by black men, generally, collectively, whatever it is, feel free to put that in, yes or no. It's something we should be talking about. But this is their testimonies of why they said what they said.
Ladies, my sisters, do you feel protected by black men?
No, I do not. The temperament of a black man has changed drastically. No.
No.
No, not at all.
No. No. And no.
Nope. Not at all. No.
In short, the answer is no.
Nope. I feel like a piece of raw meat dangling in front of a pack of hungry hyenas.
Absolutely not. Black men are the white people of black people. No, I do not.
No. I don't feel safe around most black men. And that's sad. Because at the end of the day, I'ma always go hard for them. Like regardless. But that same love and that same respect is not reciprocated mostly. So no, I don't.
Now, I hate that this is a question that even has to be asked. So thank you, brother, for asking. It's appreciated. And the fact that I can't give a solid yes really bothers me. And as a black woman to a man child, I make sure he love and he appreciate and he know to protect his girl cousins to the fullest extent. Perfect example, I went to pick my son up from basketball practice and I got a flat tire. My daddy showed me how to fix my own tires, so while I was in the process of doing so, I saw quite a few black men not even acknowledge the fact that, one, that I was a female, or the simple fact that I was a sister who was on the side of the road late in the evening, and it wasn't dark, but it was like a real secluded road. And none of them stopped. But you know who did stop? An older Hispanic, I'm going to say Hispanic because I don't know if he was Mexican or not, but older Hispanic man stopped, asked me if I was okay, I needed help, helped me change my tire, put everything back with his tools. He didn't even use mine, used his stuff. And when I tried to pay him, give him a little change, for helping me, he said, no, mommy. He said, I'm a man. This is what I'm supposed to do. And I was so appreciative of him. But when I got home and I really thought about it, I was like, the level of disregard that some black men have for us women is atrocious. And I love y'all. Like, I love my brothers. I will defend y'all until the last breath I breathe. I love y'all. But y'all gotta do better. Y'all don't protect each other.
Just some back context, those are joining now. Basically, this week's show is, are black women hesitant to speak candidly to black men about challenges? We've got across the pond to the States at the moment, a particular lady's channel who's asked a question, do black men. Actually, there was a man who posted a video. Do women feel that black men protect black women? And this is the response. And at the moment, every black woman has said no. This is a topic we can cover this week, but the actual topic is are black women hesitant to speak candidly to black men about challenges? And maybe this is a challenge people feel strongly about, and they too have not said nothing. If so, definitely want to talk about it this week. But let's play about a minute or so, and then we'll throw the link in there, and we'll discuss good stuff and find solutions.
Each other, y'all don't protect us, so it leaves us vulnerable for anybody to come and just attack us. And it's okay, because they figure the men in their community don't even want them or protect them, so why should we? Like, help us help y'all. Real talk. This has to stop. Most of the most disrespectful moments I've had have been with another brother. For real? Like, this what we doing now? I love y'all, but we gotta stick together, because we all we got.
No, because a lot of times when I'm in situations where I feel unsafe, it's black men that are making me feel that way. I don't like saying that out loud, and I don't like that that's the reality of it, but it's true. Especially when it's always one acting a fool and his friends never check him. When it's a group of dudes, it's always one or two in the group who wild, acting crazy, being mad, disrespectful. But his friends never check him. They never say anything. And then other men who are watching a lot of times, they just kind of look, and so it makes you feel like you're alone, and it's hurtful. Those experiences are what got me to the point where I don't look for anyone to protect me or to have my best interest at heart, because I don't have that expectation anymore, especially not from men in general, especially men that look like me.
Speaking for me and me only, I know some black women feel like this, but simple answer, no. We are the only group of women who are constantly degraded by our men, and they are constantly.
All right, so there was another lady. I won't play her video. Well, it's there if needed. Who her thing she wanted to talk about was this concept of being degraded and the methods of how it is, and maybe the expectations of women, being strong and tough, and how that has a negative effect and this kind of stuff. I won't play her video because we'll just deal with these ones at the moment. But once again, this is across the pond, but this correlates. I'm sure there are many women who might feel similar or not so much. And even if it is isolated experiences, any experiences we need to definitely tackle and have solutions for. That's what we're about. Okay, so I think what I can do is let me now. I mean, this goes on for a few more minutes, whatever. So I'll stop it now. But just so you know, the testimonies get more dedicated, and you get more personal testimonies of more, a more egregious outcome and this kind of stuff. And also, expectations are not met and this kind of stuff. So this is what it is. What I'm going to do, if I press this button, is this one? It is. I'll go back. Yes, so back to the stream. So this is this is the topic. Now, what I'm going to do, I would say I would like women to jump on live, and I would like to hear them first. And once again, you don't have to necessarily talk about any personal topic or these topics that these women have said, but just a topic in general about, are black women hesitant? And if so, why do we think that is? If not, so be it. And, we want to be honest, but once again, for the men listening, I want you to listen with this kind of arrangement where we are placing feelings before facts. Not saying that the things that saying isn't facts, but, sometimes there is a separation in interpretation, you see? And sometimes there is, someone hits the mark and someone that doesn't. We have to identify which is which. But definitely when black men are talking to black women, we want to have a feelings first approach, if possible. And there's some issues that these ladies did bring up that, we can address, and I think I mentioned this concept of checking people, very important concept, of many different, ways and ratios how you do that. But definitely, if a brother isn't acting correct around a woman, then that needs to be checked. But once again, when we the reason why this default here, which seems a bit odd for people to read, of black men protect black women and black children, and black women protect black children. The reason why this is a very important psychological training in your mind, gentlemen and ladies, is because if it's remembered, anytime you see a woman in distress at the hands of anyone, but especially an unsynchronized black man, then that should be like the spider sense tingling. You see, spider sense tingling, and that's to have a reflex for your spider sense tingle. Unfortunately, with black people, our senses have been retuned in many aspects of life, and this is not correct behavior. And the legacy of that is probably why some of these testimonies are coming forward. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the fantastic link out there. I would push forward any. Is that the right one? I believe so. If you're a lady, a woman, a black woman, and you would like to, you don't have to talk about particulars. You don't have to talk about the things I said. You can talk about the actual concept, and if there's any truth to it, or if there isn't, or if there is, why there is, and all the rest of it. We're kind of back and forth. The preference at the moment would be to have women on, but men are welcome, and if men are, I will ask men to have your listening cap on and just your awareness cap on. Unfortunately, there are some times where some men, not all of course, they might hear a particular sharpness and then react sharp back, or let me say a perceived sharpness, and then react very sharp back. And this is not necessarily the best. So I've placed a link there. And what I'm going to do, just to allow the ladies and potential gentlemen to think, I'll carry on playing some of the complaints. Some of them get there, and we'll just play it for a bit while people are thinking if they want to join in. If we don't have any join in, then we'll just listen and we'll end, because some people. But the truth of the matter is, I'll be honest with you, we do want to get to the time now where we are having a comfortable speaking scenarios where we can set up these kind of awkwardly challenging conversations and feel comfortable. And I think one of the goals from the men is to try to create a scenario where women feel comfortable to express themselves. I think if there's one goal we want to achieve, let's do that. And hopefully, I don't know how it is out there in the internet world, and I don't know the individuals you see in America who are men who might not be achieving that on some of these demonstrations they do. But hopefully, with the Black Bama broadcast, especially as me as the host in the host seat at the moment, hopefully black women can feel there is a place for them, and we can actually start that conversation. And if we need to tweak and move things around to make things make more sense, then let us know. But I'm going to carry on playing some of the testimonies, and then if anyone want to jump in, feel free. If no one wants to jump in, we shall shut the show at 11. But if you want to jump in, as the rules dictate, we must go to. We give an extra hour for 12. And really, have a fantastic dialogue. I'm now. Oh, brother Kelly is here. I didn't see. So let me actually add brother. Hello, brother Kelly. How's it going?
How you doing, brother Raven? Not too bad, man. Not too bad. How's things?
Good. So should I don't know, because normally when you jump in, sometimes you might miss the beginning. Should I go over what this week's one's about, or are you?
If you're able to, it's not going to hold up too much time. That would be.
No, of course, no. Because what's happening at the moment is I've thrown out a link there, and I'm inviting some of the black women if they wish to jump in to have a conversation about this topic. Is are black women hesitant to speak candidly to black men about challenges? Now we covered this a few weeks back, and I was told that it was a nervous topic at some point, and this kind of stuff. And as time went by, it got easier. But I don't think we're fully there yet, and definitely not out in the internet world. There's obviously different pockets of people who operate differently, and experiences that go on. And what I've done is, before you've actually jumped on live, I've played a few videos in the States of black women trying to be speaking candidly to black men. One of the first topics was a lady speaking about, she felt that there's kind of been a role reversal, and there's been kind of like a man versus woman vibe in the States at certain parts, I don't know, maybe the world. And she felt that if black women more embrace feminism, then men will step up to the plate and become more masculine and build and protect and this kind of stuff. Well, another woman, what she was saying was, another video, that there was a man who went live and he was asking women, black women, do you feel protected by black men? and then there's a collection of videos saying no, and then I think her thing was she didn't believe that he was asking from a good place, and then we haven't seen it yet, but his reaction to the masses of no's wasn't very supporting. And what I'll do is but if you have anything to say, feel free to jump in. But what I was going to do is I was going to play some rest of testimonies from some of the women who said no, and then if women wish to jump in to have their say, so be it. I'm just going to press play.
Lifting any woman that isn't black. Then when they do find a black woman that they find attractive, if she's a little bit lighter, hair a little bit looser, you have to automatically be mixed or exotic for you to make sense, for you to be beautiful, for that beauty to make sense. Like when a young lady was about the police, the 16-year-old, they dogged that girl out. Even though it was explained that that young woman was in a foster home and was getting jumped by grown women, they still demonized her because she was a young black woman.
Absolutely the not. And last night was a prime example of why every time I allow myself to be protected by black men, they let me down. Last night I was on a boat with my friends and it was one guy. This guy left us. After the dude who owns the boat, which is a black man, told us to dock the boat and we were going to go get drinks and we were going to come back and party, we came back to a boat full of dudes we had never met. The dude who owned the boat invited 10 of his friends with a bunch of drunk girls they never met. So the dude we came with left us. So I'm on my way back to my car to get my pistol because I'm noticing something ain't right. This about to leave us. He like, you didn't notice that it's a lot of dudes that y'all don't know on the boat? And I say, yes, but why would you leave us and not tell us this? This is a prime example of why I carry a gun. I carry my gun because I feel like I have to protect myself against black men because black men don't protect black women. Black men prey on black women. And I hate that.
Absolutely not. I used to, but I've come to realize the world that we live in today. I can honestly say that a white man has never put his hands on me, nor another man of another race, but a black man has, including multiple black family members, multiple black cops, and I got jumped at my own performance by 2 black men, which is why this tooth is fake. Now don't get me wrong, I love black men. Any black man that's ever spent time with me understands that I completely respect them. I walk my dog every single day, and I walk past a new black man every single day, and I try my best to engage, and they literally try their best to not engage. And literally, I know it's only because of the way that I'm dressed, and they know they can't shoot their shot because look at me, I'm beautiful. And I also have walked around with feminine women and seen men try to engage with them, but not me. It's got me to the point where I'm thinking about if I was getting kidnapped or someone was trying to humanize me, would a black man step in and try to protect me and save me? No, I don't think so.
No, first of all, let me explain. Actually, no, I'm gonna just give you a scenario. I seen a video of a lady saying that being a homeowner is overrated, and I say I totally agree with you. I bought my first home when I was 25, and I said I'd never buy another home until I'm married. And I said that one of the reasons was it was so many men coming with their shadiness once they realized I'm the only person in here. This is only my home. And then some black man come victim shaming me and said that has nothing to do with home ownership. That's the company that you keep bad company. Like, bro, first of all, nobody talking to you. Second of all, in my contract when I bought this home, they said that the man that fixed the AC was going to be the one that remained fixed the AC, and I signed that contract. And that man tried to come at me so many times to where he was in my driveway one time. So it's like, who was even talking to you? Could have kept scrolling, Mr. Black Man. You gonna come in here and victim shame me and don't know what you talking about the company I keep. The gas man, that's not my company. But he came at me sideways and then left. Didn't even finish my gas. So, you know,
No, I do not. When I was getting harassed by a group of black men, it was my black father who said it was my fault because of what I was wearing. It's only black men who get dangerously aggressive with me when I deny them my phone number or my time. It was a black man who went viral in my state for smacking a black woman with a skateboard. It was a group of black men that I watched put a black woman into a dumpster. It has only been black men who have tried to take my life just because they felt like they can without even knowing me. It was a black man who sat up on this app and proceeded to ask black women, why do you think black men date outside of their race? As if we give a f. The only reason why y'all ask that is to try to make us feel inferior. So how can I feel protected by black men who do all this? Just saying. And please do not be up in my comments like, oh, this is not every black man. Just like how it is not every white person who is. It don't matter. As a collective, that's how y'all move, and that's how I feel, and that's my experiences.
No. When I was 18, 4 black men stood by and watched me.
So for the people joining, this show is about, are black women hesitant to speak candidly to black men about challenges? These individuals, they're not that hesitant, to be fair. And what it is I've placed the link in the forum, and we're asking, do you feel that black women might be quite hesitant to speak candidly to black men? If so, jump on. Now's your time. You always have your opinion if necessary. And one of the things we're trying to make the space very comfortable for all people to speak, especially black women. And as men, I'm pushing for that we conduct ourselves in a way where black women can express what they like, and we won't react emotionally to it, whether it's 100% correct or 100% misjudged or misplaced. There was a grid. I said that we want to be approaching things when we talk to women from a feelings first, then facts second, if at all. So that's just what we're pushing. And right now we're playing a video of where black women in the States at certain points feel protected by black men, and these particular individuals don't. But I think there was a more heightened issue that the man who asked this question, they believe that he wasn't really sincere in finding out if black women how they feel, or even trying to find a solution for it. But as we're listening to people's testimonies, the link is there. If you're a black woman, feel free to jump in. We have Brother Kel, a very important contributor, with us at the moment, and he can jump anytime he wants. But right now we're listening, so this is what it is. There we go.
Be assaulted. They stood and watched me fight for my life. When I confronted them, they literally told me that they didn't help me because I had just beat them at basketball. No bull. They stood by and watched me literally fight for my life against two grown men because, and I quote, "That you handle yourself so well on the court, we figure you can handle yourself off of it."
I'm going to say no, and it's unfortunate that I feel that way, but y'all rock with me for a minute because this is probably going to be more than one part. So a little mild story time. So a couple of years ago, I was working this job. I had to be early 30s. I went on a lunch break, noticed that my tire was losing air. So I go down the street to the store. The store is about 2 minutes away. I park, make sure that my tire is closest to the tire that needs air is close to the air pump, which meant that it was right beside the highway. So while I'm putting air in it, or while I'm trying to put air in it, you would not be able to see me if you're inside the store. This older gentleman comes over and he's like, "Hey, do you need help? I saw you over here trying to put air in your tire." I'm like, "Yeah." So the people inside the store couldn't see me again. So he bends down and he's taking a look at the tire and trying to figure out what's going on with it. Okay, part two. So he takes a look at my tire and says, "Hey, it looks like your stem is bent. It's bent in a way that's making you lose tire pressure." So I'm like, "Okay, how do I fix it? I don't know what's going on." He bends down. He's like, "Hey, can you hold this for me?" I'm like, "Okay, fine. I don't know what I'm doing. Let me hold this for him." While I'm down there holding this for this gentleman, this older gentleman is knowing that nobody can see me. While I'm holding the stem, he's kissing on my hands. He's making advances. He is doing everything outside of trying to make sure that I feel safe because he's helping me, and instead is taking advantage of the situation and the fact that no one can see me, and the fact that I need help. And if he's not helping me, there's a small percentage of people that might actually help. Part three. So this is so uncomfortable. He's put me in a position to where either I have to put up with it and just give it a little bit of time. He'll leave me alone just so I can be safe and I can ride on my vehicle and have an opportunity to get myself home. But instead, this gentleman takes advantage of the fact that, again, no one can see us, and the fact that I'm a woman. And I hate to say it, I love my black men. I love my black men with a passion. But it's a lot of stuff like that that makes me hesitant. Aside from the stereotypical stuff that we usually get, like men cussing us out when we politely decline your advances, it has put a very sour taste in my mouth, and I still wake up and show up every day to try to love my black men. Thank you.
Yeah, so Brother Kel, that's it goes on for a bit. There's a few more others, whatever. and very important testimonies, all true to them, and I'm sure very true in general. Many things they say, you have repeated challenges. Obviously, this is in the States, and any issue that's brought forward is an issue we have to review and try to find codes and ways of operating that minimizes it. Any thoughts on the topic, Brother Kel, at all, after seeing some of those testimonies?
Yeah, there's a quote, and I can't remember if it's Thomas Jefferson or Benjamin Franklin, but in that quote, it mentions that how are we going to control a people who love their women, love their men, immerse in their culture, and have an enormous amount of unity, right? And the quote mentioned that we're going to have to control their identity, control their spirituality, and control their unity. And the thing is, brother, we touched upon this, I think maybe it was a couple of months ago, about, I think the topic was error prone and high principle, right? And there was an image that you shown where the black woman was indicating distress and anger. Can you remember it, or is it out your head?
Yeah, I can remember. I definitely can remember, yes.
And I made it clear that she should, right? It is high principle that she should rebel with these expressions, because she cannot go to the European institutions, the Asian institutions, and the Middle Eastern institutions and express how she's feeling, because they are all responsible for how she's feeling and will make the situation worse, right? So we as a people, in regards to the black man, right, we have to be counselors, mentors, and healers to one another when we see each other on the street or wherever we may be. Now, the only way that's going to happen is a type of energy and spirit. Now, these black men that's been on here, unfortunately, brother, and this is really clear in that they're not synchronized. There is a word that we can use, but respectfully, we're going to use unsynchronized, right? And the African woman has to understand that feminism, right, although to be feminine is the attribute of a woman, right? But at the same time, that word and meaning has been marketable for the non-Africans to use, right? So the African woman, she's going to have to read up, and I'm only giving advice, on an amazing Pan-Africanist woman by the name of Anna Julia Cooper, right? And she was a very educated and brilliant Pan-Africanist, born in the early 1800s, and she came up with the black womanism. Why did she come up with the black womanism? Is because she understood that feminism has been infiltrated by the non-Africans, and a new marketable strategy needs to be implemented in order to gather the African queens back to unity. And unfortunately, brother, the African woman, right, she's going to have to be around the synchronized African men.
Yes.
It's the only way she's going to be able to talk about her problems. It's the only way she's going to be able to express herself, because we as men, and you know this, Brother Raven, we are not taught to express ourselves, although we are very emotional as men, believe it or not. We are created from the ground, and we are emotional just as women. It's just that we're not allowed to express ourselves. And when an African woman expresses herself with the science and intelligence, because it's logical, because we do not understand that science, it brings out a fire in us and makes us want to go and do destruction. So we're going to have to teach the African men to learn how to be expressive, right? And learn how to channel emotion and communicate with the African woman. I'm not talking about that you need to be effeminate or you need to be homosexual, right? But what I'm referring to is that the Creator has given us male and female qualities, and you must be able to translate when you're speaking to a female, no different than when you're speaking into a different language. You have to know how to translate that, and we have to be more expressive and emotionally intelligent to communicate in order to allow the black woman to express herself through our legendary war that we are in.
Good points. Very good points there, brother. And just to know, I've placed the link of Anna J. Cooper in the form for people to catch up on it. But also, we will talk and give our perspective all day long. But right now, women will always have priority, and the link is also there. So if anyone want to jump in to give their perspective, and for some women it might be challenging, and this is why there is something you said, and that is that unfortunately out there in the world many people are unsynchronized, and if that is becoming a high enough kind of result factor, then we who are synchronized are going to have to try to find solutions. But at a certain point we're going to have to also try to find institutions or ways of purging where we can create so-called safe spaces for people and this kind of stuff. And yeah, it is more challenging, but I think we also have to be aware that what you're saying is correct. That we want women to express their frustration, and how the women will do it at this day and age is they'll form their own collective groups. They'll form social media groups. I'm sure many of the women who are listening now are probably in these groups in there, kind of like WhatsApp and the Facebook where it's women only, and they'll use it to vent and express and stuff like this. But so, unfortunately, what might happen? It might become circle. It might be the choir preachers to themselves, the preacher of the choir, where they're all expressing these challenges, but there isn't actually like a pipeline to escape and try to express this. Hence why the show is Are Black Women Hesitant to Speak Candidly to Black Men? And I think we definitely saw that. Now, if this is obviously not all, but we're tackling this issue. If some of the issue is some women don't like to see either men act aggressive, if that might be the response, or even act sad, maybe, who knows? And this might be a motivation factor, then this needs to be corrected as well. I think, at a certain point, we do need to talk more straight cut, more direct to men, and have this expectation that yes, historically, men protect, provide, and build. And obviously because of benchmark rebranding, many men will find ways to not do this, and this kind of stuff, and this will also be a root of many other problems that many black women might go through. You see, and you're right when you said that, and this is important, a point you did raise that we have to go over. From a bigger perspective, there is this element from outside the community that is a heavy contributor to abusing the black community. But what some women are pushing forward is, after that abusement has taken place and the reaction has happened, there is a collection of black men who then interpretate that frustration and that confusion, and they rather than push it outwards to the people who are offended outwards in, they turn on ourselves and they go for easy prey, and sometimes that easy prey might be women, and that could come in the form of this disrespect and not caring and this kind of stuff, right? So it is definitely a conversation we want to have, and the link is there. Go ahead, brother.
Here's the thing, Brother Raven, right? And if there's any youth that are listening, right, African youth or males, here's the thing what they need to do, right? They need to get a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil, and they need to write down these 3 words and these meanings. One of them is insecurities. The other is impatience. And the third one is anxieties, right? And what they need to do is understand these three words and the meaning of it, right? And they need to match what the energy would be in regards to when they're confronted with an African female who has a lot of hurt. Because one thing we need to do, brother, that we can talk about these issues, right? And express these things, but there's a lot of anxiety, impatience, and insecurities in the African man, right? And I believe that when you meet someone, you have to have a certain type of temperament and energy in order to communicate with them. And unfortunately, brother, because we suffer from hurt, right? And it's not easy, because to communicate with an African female, right? And to allow her to express herself, right? Because a lot of the time, brother, us African men, you know, a great scholar once says that, you know, when mankind, you know, commit mistakes, that two traits shows up. The first is guilt, and the second thing, they don't want to expose. So when you're hearing the African females respectfully talking about colorism, which is a ridiculous thing, because the African woman comes in many shades. There was no colorism in the past. It's only those who do not have melanin have a problem with it, right? When you're hearing these things, brother, is that the African man feels guilt when he hears the African woman speak about the things that she's going through. So what he will do is, when he feels the guilt, he doesn't want to expose, so he'll shut her down. And that's why, brother, we do need to assess these three words and meanings for the youth, right? Impatience, insecurities, and anxiety. They need to write down what is it that makes them feel that way and match it up to a positive energy.
Good points there, bro. Good points there. Yeah. I mean, I think one, and obviously we will need to have these challenges pushed forward by the women, and when we see them, we can create think tanks and discussions around them, and just basic awareness and training, and then obviously invite women back to see if there's an improvement. We also want to be checking individuals, but like you said, this is why I speak of a concept, a lifestyle, and this is why I say that if you confess black betterment, that means you want what's better for black people. So by just this confession, there is a pillar you stand on that places some kind of accountability. So because some people are so unsynchronized, so somewhere else, that I mean, the things that come with their mouth is just somewhere. It's like it's almost like you're speaking to a foreign alien at a certain point. But we do want to have influence. We do want to have influence. Just family. Just keeping in mind, we brother Kel is live giving his wisdom on the Black Baron broadcast as he usually does and doing a great job. We've posted a link. I shall post it fresh because I have been putting some Wikipedia stuff in there, whatever. And if there's any men, you can join if you wish. But and feel free to ask questions in the forum. What we tend to find in this is a step-by-step challenge. What we tend to find is that there is a lot. Many black women will go through challenges and they'll form groups and they'll discuss in the groups and then they might keep to themselves, and this is never good. And then there isn't really platforms to actually express this. So when one becomes available, it's almost like, oh, caught you off guard, right? So we definitely want to try to give you the time. There is no rush. This is any time. We're here for it and stuff. But also something I am noticing a trend, and it's something that others will notice, is those women who have been patient, who have been through certain situations consistently, then form bigger networks. And these bigger networks are talking to the worldwide women, but in a place where everyone can see. So then through this mechanism, you then hear people are aware. And then on some of these platforms, they try to invite unsynchronized men who then, and I think with this particular video I'm showing, if we go back to it, I think they had a conclusion. Is it this one? Let me skip.
This question.
Let me skip some of these.
Consider going to the grocery store, whatever the hell I'm
by a
So
boy to say
all these,
to protect me.
unfortunately, all these women who are here saying no, just spoiler alert. And I think what the challenge that this particular show and this particular scenario is the man who was asking, he kind of disregarded certain responses, and his conclusion was to place a video of a person who agreed. And I think this is it.
Majority of them stated that they do not feel protected by black men, and Beard Kicks didn't like this, so he not only disabled his comments, but then he stitched a video of a black woman's response to his question, and I'll let you guys see that.
Ladies, my sisters, do you feel protected by black men?
I do, with my man, my black man, with my black father, with my black grandfather, with my black uncles, with my black men in my life. I do. I can understand why someone say no, but I will also challenge you to say this. You don't know all black women, so you can't say all black men don't protect, okay? Stop judging us as a whole group off of the few. When I say few, it may be a lot to you, but you're not experiencing all black men. So you can't say all black men do not protect because of the ones you encountered. Because they're out there. They are out there.
I don't know if Beard Kicks understands that he just put the nail in the coffin and just corroborated my initial points that he never was asking this from a genuine place. And he doesn't even realize posting her contradicts his initial statements. He said, and I'm not talking about your immediate circle.
You feel safe? Do you feel protected? And I'm not talking about your immediate circle because, you know, and brothers, fellas, we got to do better.
So why on earth would you post this male-identified woman who is talking about her protection from black men in her immediate circle? Do you see why you can't really trust a lot of them because of the deception? So all these women that you said don't include black men in your immediate circle, and maybe some of them just saw the initial clip where you said, do you feel protected by black men? But some of them still went on to talk about their experiences with men that they weren't related to, that weren't in their immediate circle. And yet you turn around and post a woman that's constantly adulating the men in her immediate circle. This is why we have the problems with you guys who constantly want to lambast us for not making the distinction between all of you. Yeah, because those like you are acting like the rest. This also contributes to the entire concept of the quote unquote good black men, because when something like this occurs, those like you who have assigned yourself the label of the good black man are engaging in tactics that non-good black men engage in. Manipulation, the dismissiveness, and just outright lying. And let's also talk about the woman's response. First of all, I didn't like how she kept pointing her finger in the camera. I don't like when people point their finger at you in person, child. I don't like it through the phone. Even though her delivery wasn't hostile, her energy was hostile towards these women and their experience. You don't have to know all black men to know that the collective are not protecting black women. We can analogize this in the same way for white people. Some of us have immediate white family members. Should we then be ignorant and say, oh, well, let's not talk about racism because a couple of my family members, which is anecdotal evidence, are not racist? So that means that the reason that you guys are talking about, stop talking about it because you don't know all of them. We don't have to know all white people to know that a good majority of them can't display anti-black behaviors and benefit from racism. So because you don't know everybody, I'm supposed to ignore other people's experience and just go based off of my own anecdotal evidence and say F everybody else's experience? Just as we don't know all black men, the black men in your family don't represent the collective of black men. So that's why your statements are ignorant. The argument was never about, is it all black men? Enough are doing damage that affects the collective of black women. I wanted to go back and talk about a lot of the women's stories, and I just thank them so much for being so brave to tell the truth. And the reason why I say that is because in this community, when you're honest about the
Right. So what I don't know I don't really know the show too well. I don't really know the guy who did what he did, didn't do whatever. But what I would say is, you know, if you are a man and you are making these kind of content and you are doing things like blocking response, I don't know how true that is, but blocking responses, this is a red flag. Also, one of the training, this is hard. This is very hard, especially with the world we live in at the moment. One of the trainings that I am trying to push forward is for men not to be offended by women, more particularly black men be offended by black women. And I think this is the train that needs to be had, and also if there are those who then engage in a defensive nature, this is never good. Um, I don't know the history of this individual, so I can't really quote on his past. I'll try to look him up. I don't really have. I don't have his TikTok or these kind of things. Not too sure. But this was taken from YouTube. Not you. Yeah, YouTube. So I don't know. But definitely any kind of defensive, and also one of the things, obviously, any black woman who supports black men, 1,000 love, and this is great. But if black men are making errors, are not consistent, are uh, directly or indirectly deceiving, I would say it's in your best interest to make that be known. If you're not, you have to question why. If you don't want to start a disagreement argument, fair enough. But generally, uh, we do want to have this kind of communication going on where we can highlight shortcomings and other brothers can jump in to guidance there. And on this show, if similar things happens, that should be the case. Go ahead, brother.
You know what, brother Raven, right? There's nothing wrong with the African females, right? Having their own groups, you know, like discussing amongst themselves, because as you and I know, right, the women's world, bro, is different than the man's world, you know. So they may prefer to surrogate in order to express themselves, right?
Definitely, yes.
At the same time, here's the red flag that that which I would not like to happen is that if they do form their own groups, which they should, that it gets controlled by non-Africans under the banner of feminism. You see, brother, because one thing we don't want to do, brother, is we don't want non-Africans using the intellectual capacity what the African woman has and has benefited in ancient times for their agenda, which is happening now, unfortunately. So we do need to, you know, make sure that there's like a chief amongst who could follow the spirit of Anna Julia Cooper, you know, to keep it womanism based upon Pan-Africanism and Garvey blueprints with a black betterment outcome to keep the African queens, brother, in a synchronizing way. I believe that, you know, we're losing them due to the lack of Pan-Africanism as well as their role models as well.
I see where that's coming from. Let me just jump in just for 4 seconds and say one thing I have observed is many of the past challenges that happened and some of the mishaps where obviously it's not universal, but many of the the semi-conscious and woke and these kinds of we're going to say welcome to welcome Empress Christie. We'll bring her in a minute. Let me just say this quote. Give me 4 seconds, and you can obviously jump in after I say it. I've noticed that many of the black women are well aware of the deception that non-black women have done by using black women, and it is quite well spread that unfortunately, and this is something that has to be a critical thing we tackle. Black women are seen as the most looked past or not protected, and this is just as a world concept. And this is obviously the fate of a black man, but this is also the pressures that black men have to go through, and obviously not raising to the top of the pile and do what we have to do. But I don't know. Yes, it will happen. I don't think there's going to be too many directly non-black people staring. But what I am seeing is within the collective of black women, they will form leaderships, and they will within there have philosophies of like not being with black men. But you know, but actually as a golden rule, like not being with black men, it might start with things like, "Well, find someone who loves you back," which is a great philosophy, and then it will escalate to just stay away from black men. They're all the same, And this is a back-to-back trauma, as well as no check-in and and many other aspects going on. But I don't know if directly many of these black women groups will be using non-black women's opinions to help direct them, because many of them are well aware that many non-black women see them as a threat. This is just documented, and so because of that, the black women I'm aware of, the groups, they're well aware of this, and they're more likely forming black women only concepts, and obviously not most women want men, and this is where the predicament, the conundrum comes, and the solution of how to find men, and a lot of them are saying just stay clear of black men, they're no good, and this kind of stuff. Obviously this is pockets of stuff, but we have to be aware, because as the men in the community, we always want to give solutions, and we always want to let the black women know they have a voice, and this space for them. Unfortunately, family, Sister Empress Kushti, internet must have just jumped, so I was waffling too long, but I hope she'll be back. And if not, we have a link for the black sisters out there who wish to jump in and give their perspective, and hopefully at their own pace, can speak candidly about expectations or observations, just things about wishes and desires, hopes that they wish to fulfill with the black man, and just some check in. Like this particular video, I'm not too aware of the woman's past, present, and future who runs the show and her agendas, but I would like to think that black women is at her heart, and that the way she is talking about black men, she didn't seem to come from a fiery place where there was jokes and comedy. It was more so a disappointment and wanting better. For the most part, that's what I got from that. And this is why I say, when we do the code of conduct, that let's try not to use derogative terms, these things, because sometimes a person will actually have a genuine point and they genuinely want to see change. But when derogative terms and these things are used, it allows a backdoor exit for a person to then make that the focus, and the true nature of what a person is trying to say is missed. And this doesn't really please anyone, and there is no solutions there. But with hopefully Empress Christian will join us again. But Brother Kel, I hope you carry on. I did interrupt you there, so carry on. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, brother, it was just in regards to that sometimes working on solutions may need to be behind the doors.
Yes.
And the females, just like when it comes to the African males, the same thing. However, it does need to be a code of conduct of languages, that when we do meet each other on the same place, whether it's a podcast, that we flow together. And that's the only thing my worry is that as long as there's a chief amongst them, and it's based upon Garveyism and Pan-Africanism, then that would work well with those who are Pan-Africanist males. Because unfortunately, brother, there's more unsynchronized Africans than synchronized Africans. Those sisters, what they were talking, they're talking about unsynchronized African men, and unfortunately, brother, in every one of us, we have non-Africans speaking to our conscious mind. You know what I mean? Like, they dictate how we view color, how we view each other, how we view economics, real estate, Africa. It's in us. It's almost as if like they're surrounding our mind, and unless we evacuate that type of consciousness, then we will forever be hearing these types of languages of unsynchronized behavior from the African man.
Yeah, let me add to that. Today, or yesterday, I can't remember what it was. It's behavioral patterns. So I think I was on Instagram, and I'm engaging more in topics now. I think there was a topic that a forum posted about. I think Puff Daddy has hired a black woman only marketing company, and obviously, this is a good thing. Well done. well done, more of it. But obviously there was unsynchronized black men who saying, "Oh, if the shoes are a foot, this is racist." And then there was the co-signed by the Europeans who jumped in and did that. And actually, I mean, you know, I jumped in to add a sense of logic of black betterment, and I did my thing. But you know, there was a lot of unsynchronization. It also could be down to the nature of the content who I was following and the nature of people following. But what I did notice is when I was back and forth with the Europeans, something I don't tend to do usually when it comes to black betterment, I noticed that even though all his points were squashed and pushed aside, he ended up by following my page. He's probably listening now, I don't know, right? And like, you know how it was. He could be anywhere in the world. But at the end of the exchange, after disagreeing, he made the effort to follow my page. So there's like a awareness or a nosiness or what is going on here that I noticed while with the unsynchronized Africans, either black people, whatever, they were, you know, just throwing their thing, never hear from them. They won't, you know, they didn't pick up anything I was saying. You know, defensive mechanisms, this kind of stuff. So there is about work to be done, but I think sometimes labeling is important. And what I mean by that is when we strive to have these strategies, we want to create a certain label. And when a person is looking, a black woman or a black man or whatever is looking for a certain thing, they know this particular type of black person, just by definition, will not correlate in these behavioral patterns. And that's why I use the concept of veganism as a lifestyle. So when you see a man eating beef, you know he's not vegan. And when you see a black man harming women or being disrespectful, they cannot be black bearers. Because the definition is you protect black women, you protect black children. So if you're part of the harm in any way, you uphold certain negative stereotypes and, you know, and these kind of ignorant things, you cannot be considered a black bearer. You cannot be considered this title that we are building on this particular platform. So at least when black women are looking in a direction, hopefully they can look towards this direction to know that the men who agree with this lifestyle will not be participating in any form of colorism, any form of aggressive catcalling, any kind of watching people be harmed and laughing or throwing women in bins or hitting people with skateboards, derogative terms, high anxiety arguments about feelings where the woman feels, you know, she isn't protected, this kind of stuff. This is what ultimately is the goal. And so it is to create a divide and a visual landscape where those who are not within that divide can look across the sea and go, okay, that's where we have to get, because that's where people are prospering, that's where people are synchronized, and that's where betterment is achieved. So me being across the river doing all this just ain't going to happen. But ultimately, it does come down to me with other men who believe in providing, protecting, and building.
Yeah, would you say, brother, that there needs to be an institution, an institution where, like, a calling center, a Pan-Africanist one, right, where the African females can speak about their issues, right, and a solution base comes after it? Because a lot of the time, brother, you know, these queens that were speaking about their issues, right, they are yearning for solution base, right? So would you say that there needs to be like an institution that will help the African man to communicate when he's faced with the reality of what needs to be done? Or would you say, for example, like, because here's the thing with YouTube, brother, right? There's an advantage and disadvantage. On the one hand, it's good that we can express knowledge and etc., right? Okay. Oh, Sister Kush, do you want to read out what she said?
Yeah, let me just read out my screen. Let me read it there because my screen's not blocking. But it's this is from Empress Kushti, who was on just a second ago but came off. But she has put a text for us. It does seem, especially across the pond and with new social apps, trick rocks, podcasts, etc., sisters are opening up about their feelings. Unfortunately, it does not feel a bit negative instead of a problem solving. All right, so I don't know. I don't know if Empress Kushti is saying that what they're saying is either a bit negative and not, or the men's response. So hopefully she can clear that. But any kind of challenge that women are going through, this is natural, and we should be setting ourselves up to listen. And we are fair as men if women express themselves and they feel attacked or like they can't speak or in a vulnerable place. I think we've lost points as men if that's the reality, right? And yes, we want women to protect men, but we don't want women to be ignorant. I think there was a story, I can't remember it, when I was a child, and it was about the last person who got hung in England. I can't remember, it was make believe, but it was just the morals I remember. And the story went, there was a man, and what it was is every time he would do crimes, do crimes, do crimes, do crimes, do crimes, and his mother was always very forgiving and saying, "No, it's other people's fault, other people's fault," and he kept doing it, and then finally they caught him, and they went to hang him, and then his mum came to visit him before he was killed. This is England when hanging was around, and I think he went to whisper in the mother's ear, and as he went to whisper, he bit her ear off, and she was like, "Why have you done this?" And he goes, "Because you never really set me straight. You know, it's because of you why I'm being hung, and you could have really set me straight by telling me things were wrong, and I shouldn't be doing it." Now, the moral of the story is, if someone does something wrong, let them know, not to bite your mother's ear off. This is definitely not behavior pact that we want to do it. But yeah, this is the thing. Like, and sometimes it is very, very necessary for if black people are experiencing stuff, even if they think it's silly, to create a dialogue. And you're right, brother, having centers and concepts where men and women learn how best to communicate. And you're right, YouTube is a blessing and a curse, but the blessing that could be this day is we can use this platform to highlight with shortcomings. We can listen to interactions, and when we see breakdowns, we can analyze them and try to make sure we fix them for next time. This show has been a very good show for communications. There has been one or two hiccups here in the past, and we have tried to rectify that and make things smooth, move more smoothly. Well, go ahead, brother. I've read the quote out.
Now
Hopefully,
look,
yeah, go ahead.
now this Kushti has written something very interesting, which I was saying before, right?
Right.
Is that she says that when she said it's more seems to be negative instead of problem solving.
Mm.
And that's what I was saying, brother. Could it be that as long as there's a chief amongst them, right? And I'm using the word chief because we have to go back to the ancient ways and modernize to get back to where we need to go. But what I'm saying is, would it be better for them to have a chief amongst the group, right, who took on the spirit of Anna J. Cooper or any of the great Pan-Africanist freedom fighters like Francis Cress Wilson, Sergeant Ali, and the list goes on, right, where the African females are speaking about their problems. Because let's be realistic, brother, when you're going through problems, right, you are going to express, right, because you want to be listened to. But then would you say that an African female needs to hear that and then give the solution instead of comforting what the African female's going through and going in their shoes instead of using empathy? That would be my question for the African females, if they could answer that, or even you, brother Raven.
So make that plain for me. So you're saying, just so I can understand, you're saying, and by all means, if you wish to comment in or jump in the group, please do. We have half an hour left. So say it again, just so I can catch it, because I kind of slightly missed it. Say again.
Sister Kushti with something, right, is that, when they're amongst themselves, right, it seems to be more negative than problem solving, right? And I was saying that, would it be better if there was a chief amongst them who had the spirit of Anna J. Cooper, the
Yes. So
Right.
just as you talk, I'll expand. So you're saying like a prime solution is a female who's amongst them, whose goal it is to help take all this kind of information and try to form it in a way where solutions can be reached. Is this what you say?
Right.
Right.
Because,
Carry on.
brother,
Yep.
because, right, and the females can correct me on this, is that women seem to um comfort each other um when there's an issue. Instead of the solution to it, they would prefer to comfort each other and not rely on solving the problem, if that makes any sense, due to what has happened. So that's what I was saying, that would it be more better if there was a chief that could show empathy instead of sympathy, i.e., meaning instead of going into the shoes of what's happening, put one foot in and one foot out so they can feel what's going on and also give the solution. Because one thing we don't want to do is what the sister says, brother. You know, we want to give a solution so you can go on your way and improve instead of, you know, disregarding and there's nothing happening after that. So that's what I was wondering. Could that be a solution for a chief amongst their group to help them to understand, you know, the solution for it?
Yeah. And I agree with this, and hopefully the women can give their perspective. One thing we do is when it does hit the stage of where women are defining past challenges and we see a repetition and consistencies. So, yeah, like something I've heard is like obviously you can't control all men, but you can put codified behaviors and pull people up, and that is people feeling intimidated when they've been asked out in aggressive tones. But let us not talk anymore because Empress Kushti is here and she might cut anytime. So welcome, Empress Kushti. You have the table. Your time is precious. Go ahead. How's it going?
Greetings. I'm good, family. Just a bit under the weather, but I'm okay.
Okay. Well, now you're here. Before you cut, hopefully your internet stays. Let me click the image so you can see the question. I think that one. Here we go. Are black women hesitant to speak candidly to black men about challenges? If so, now's the time to have your voice. This is part one of our the black woman's voice. Any thoughts at all? And there's no rush. You know, yes or no, no, yes. The ball is yours. Any thoughts about this topic at all?
I think that quiet message, I do feel that with the new social media and just the new way of life, it seems that, as you've shown, a lot of the women seem to be open to talk about um, a lot of what has happened to them. Um, I think it's good to point out as well is that a lot of them wasn't necessarily from like their internal relationships. It was like externally as well. Majority was externally. So like the lady when she was doing her car, and loads of other examples that had been mentioned, um, which I think is quite a key thing as well. So I do feel that the women are talking openly about their experiences that they feel from that they get on a daily basis or where however often it is through people who are not necessarily their partners or in their families but externally just through another brother's interaction. um so I do feel that as a maybe because that's like a more although it's not a group setting it kind of is in that kind of vein where it's a collective group of women just talking about their experiences. um the reason why I say it's a bit negative is that when you ask that question, when that question's asked, more than likely, if you're going to be honest, you kind of know, unfortunately, what the answer's going to be, which is a problem anyway. Um, and I think when it comes to the problem solving, what has happened is you then get to the groups like you've mentioned where they start going all the way anti-black man or anti-brothers, where they just give up. There's no real, seems to be any positive solution rather than the consensus is to just give up if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah,
And
I
I
hear
think,
that.
yeah,
Go ahead. Carry on. Carry
and
on.
I feel that sometimes at this point, whether it's what's trending or colorism or the thing that we had a few months ago, I think it was, I can't remember where it was in America, where the woman just declined the brother's advances and she got attacked
Yes.
brutally outside, and these are just constant, at this point, constant things that get flagged up with the interaction with black women and black men, and they get highlighted a lot. So we kind of know what the consensus is, and this is what I mean about people that you don't necessarily know, just like strangers, and but there's no real, like I said, any resolve. It's just, you just get 1 month or 1 week, you'll just get told of another thing that's happened, and then the conversation will spark up again about black women not feeling protected, and it just ends on that. I just think that that's just bringing a negative kind of vibe around us as a community and the relationships between black men and black women.
Mm. I would say that one thing we want to do is, obviously there's different areas, different things goes on, and people have different roles. But what I would say is, at a certain point, black women can't. Is that mic? So I think someone's mic might be rattling. I hope it's not mine. At a certain point, black women can't really do much apart from express to an extent. And the real key is how black men respond. And that there'll be some responses that black men might not be aware of, and there might be some that they are. With this particular platform, this is a platform to find solutions, and we definitely care about the feelings of black women. And the idea is to make this spread. Now we have to engage in conversations. We have to witness these things. Once again, the reason why the base of this conversation is your feelings on black Batman is because there's philosophies and concepts out there that I have no idea what's making some people just become complete able and do whatever they're doing. But at least we have a pillar to stand on, that this is a pillar that we agree to. And when you come on this platform, this is what we're going to try to uphold. And hopefully we can create a scenario where women are comfortable to come on and give their testimony, and men can listen and try to form brotherhoods, institutions, philosophies, social campaigns, whatever, to to um, to check, shame, and correct uh, any of these consistencies. I think what we don't want as well is, we definitely don't want black women defending behaviors that isn't best for the community. Not that it does go on. It goes on all types. We just want to do that. And let me just add. I think there's a separate. Is this? Oh no! I thought someone else joined it. That's not. It's okay. Cool. Yeah. So that's my answer to that. Empress, Brother Kel, and anyone in the forum, by all means, you can jump in and answer the questions or ask questions within the actual forum itself. But we are looking to create a space where women feel comfortable to express themselves and find solutions. But if Brother Kel and Empress Christie wants to take the next stage, by all means, carry on.
Um, I do agree that these conversations need to be had, so I do agree with you on that spot. But I feel that the, although it is how women feel, it's not just a women's. Hello?
Yep, we can hear you.
Oh, sorry. Just although it is about how women should be able to feel open to express themselves, it's not
Yes.
really just a women's plight, if that makes sense. So if a
Right.
woman's saying that they're or expressing all of these things, there is another whole party involved, which is the brothers. So
Yes.
it's like to. I think it's a lot to expect a woman to highlight a problem, but it's not necessarily just their problem. If it's like, if you are the victim, you can't
Yes.
expect the victim to solve what the perpetrator's doing, if that makes sense. So it's kind of a holistic thing, and I think
Yeah.
the only way that it can kind of work is if when women highlight it, we get a response, or a response is
Yes.
highlighted more from the brothers. So, for example, when the thing happened with the woman who was attacked just because she kindly said no to the brother, there was something that happened after that where there was like a hashtag protect black women, and a lot of men came out searching for the guys who did that. And they stood outside of that shop, and they made a point to make a stance that that's not going to happen and that's not accepted.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really good. We
Yes.
don't get see enough of that, and we know that's probably because of the powers that be, and negativity sells more, and it's better to portray the community in a certain way. But what I'm trying to say is, if it was holistically like that, where if something like that happens which is damning within the community, it's not just the women who damn it, it's the men as well, and that gets highlighted, that gets equal amount of time as the negativity that's happened.
A point I agree with. I do agree with the reaction and how it's covered is important. And my area of interest is though when a woman expresses concern, how men collectively and individually, of course, react to that, because that's important. That's what I want to observe, and whenever it falls short, then hopefully we can have a correction pen to try to write it then. But that's my area of interest because how a person feels is important. And what might happen is a person might express something, and because either the reaction is harsh or not in the best kind of way, the intention isn't picked up, and then that negative energy then transfer into a conversation in a forum, and it just escalates. Where if it was dealt with straight away in the most concerning way, it would create a different vibe, a different feeling. So it's just this kind of awareness that we want to definitely be pushing forward. But what Empress Kushi says is very correct there, as in documenting the solutions and the reactions at equal nature is very important.
No, definitely. I think that that's the only way that, and the perception of feeling safe and protection, the perception of feeling protected, that will counteract it. Along with, when you said that you want to do the Black Love campaign and stuff like that, where it's highlighting healthy,
Yeah.
productive black families in loving relationships as well. So not the only narrative is this. So
Very
when
true.
these things do come up, it kind of gives Paul that actually, that's not just the basis of the black man towards the black woman.
Mm.
And hopefully it'll give more voices to those who are highlighted doing a positive thing to speak up a bit more, because
Yeah.
they've actually got some sort of a platform, or they're being able to be viewed and heard.
Mm.
Whereas at the moment they're not. So the only thing that we see is these stories and these perceptions from black women, um, which are their truths,
Yes.
and then that's it, and then it just kind of gets left like that.
But also to add to that, what we have to also observe as well is obviously the men who might respond to this on bigger platforms
Yeah.
responding in a way that isn't in anyone's best interest, apart from maybe the clicks of their platform.
Exactly, and that's why I always say that the people that are in it just for the clicks and views, like the individual who did that, he knew what he was going, the answer that he was going to get, and that's why the review from the lady was so damning on him,
Mm.
because it just didn't come from a genuine place. So it's kind of, I feel sometimes there is a form of gaslighting as well,
Yes.
and
Well, yeah.
I don't think
But
that's helpful either.
you're right. But once again, there needs to be a collective consciousness where this kind of behavior is so shunned that only a madman would do it. Do you understand?
Exactly. And
And
at the
that's where,
moment,
yeah,
that's not really happening. It doesn't
no,
seem like that's happening. And this is what I mean. The perception doesn't seem that it's happening. So if you spoke to maybe the people within your circle, the brothers in your circle, then they would probably condemn it. But as a whole, this is, it's not getting condemned. It's not, and if it is, it's not highlighted loud enough.
Yeah, and I guess the guys who are about betterment, we need to speak up, and we need to make our voices, heard throughout these unsynchronized behavior patterns, whatever. And this is just how it has to be. And yeah, like I said, I do always invite anyone to jump up, and I will be invite. I will be, because obviously now I'm engaging more on social network within comments and that. I will invite people who have problematic behaviors to actually have a one-to-one, just so we can analyze and see where is it that they're breaking down, and what is it that they understand, just so we can actually, either expose or correct or whatever it might be, within a constructive manner. But yeah, I guess feelings matter, and there is a way we can control how feelings flow on the internet, and that is by speaking up against things we disagree with and trying to make women feel supported. But like I said, I pull it in the this thing here. Black men, feelings first, facts second. Now, with the particular video, there was some men who jumped in to be supportive, but these other men, if I skip to it now, where's this lady's particular stream? This one.
Behaviors that some call a black men match. We witnessed young black on you who call sickening. They're not really called since black men will intervene.
So what she's saying is black men will intervene to save white racists, and our famous his name was Patrick. You see him.
Oh no.
Yeah. So she used a topic that we have to discuss again, but this is something that I tried to warn us against, is that this psychological challenge we go through, where there is visuals and there is now a trophy and a statue, I believe, of carved in this kind of way. And I see this individual on health magazines, and I wish her well. I wish she gets paid as much money as possible. This is definitely a good thing, get paid. But yeah, but what I'm saying is she's highlighting that, here is a man fighting to save a man who despises him, but she ain't seeing that kind of energy from in those scenarios, which is a good point. And that's why these photo ops kind of saving Europeans who hate you. You need to really review that, and if there is no because just to be clear about this particular issue, which black women can jump on, there was black men who I knew who went down to allow black women and children to have their say about the statue stuff, because they were aware that racist men such as this wanted to harm them from having their say about how they felt about the statue. And those black men went down to protect the women and got in fights, and as a result, this man was harmed. And they're winning no Oscars, they're winning no medals, they're not on the front of Men's Magazine. However, the black man who went to save the white man who was harming black women and children, he has medals, he has awards. This individual he's holding has never made an interview saying sorry, he regrets it. He disappeared into the wilderness, and right now all that is here is the brother Patrick. But we wish him well, and he's always welcome on the show to explain his thoughts and feelings about this. Hopefully we'll invite him soon. But this can always be used. But let me move on to the point I'm trying to make, which is she's also going about having black women be the defense for the people is never good. And then if you have a hashtag called Protect Black Women, there's obviously a problem. And I don't know this individual, but I don't know his mindset. But this is another thing this lady had a problem with, was the so-called men who defending the notion. She had problems with the way they did it. So let's have a sneak peek at this.
No, we're not. And one thing I actually can appreciate that I was able to find were some black men who took responsibility.
So no disrespect to this brother at all, but I personally don't believe that the question of asking black women, do they feel protected by black men, should be even a thing anymore. Because black women have been saying it for the longest that they don't feel protected. The true questions that we should be asking is, what can black men do to help black women feel more protected? And vice versa. What are the necessary steps that we need to go through in order for us to feel like we're being protective of each other? But especially in the realm of this question, I feel that, we need to be asking black women, once again, I'm saying it, what is it that black men can do to help you feel more protected, respected, and loved?
I sat down and looked at every
stitch to this video and do what I could possibly find. And I can only say, I was a black man, I'm hurt. Not hurt that they telling the truth, but the fact that we walk around like this is not a problem and not addressing it. Like, you more concerned with shoes or basketball or when you getting high next than this. Like, we causing this. And we think this is okay. I'm not okay with this at all. I promise. Me. Can't speak for the other masses of black men, but I'm going to do better. You can 100% feel protected with me. That's crazy.
I wanted to address the man with the long twist. I appreciate where you were coming from, and I don't feel that your intentions were malicious. I just rewatched your video, and I must say that now that I watched it a second time, I'm a bit disappointed because I really don't feel like your video was much different than Beard Kicks, because the question that Beard Kicks asked was directed to black women. There was nothing about us needing to do this vice versa. There was nothing about us protecting each other, but yet you took his video and you made it about how we can also protect you guys, which in a way I think it's healthy to be that way, and also black women can learn from that, how black men will put themselves first, because he's focusing on, okay, how can we transactionally protect each other? If black men are feeling that they need protection, they need to ask themselves, how can they protect themselves? Because I don't really understand why women are supposed to protect you. There are other things in exchange for protection that women can give to a man that I'll describe later on in this video, but I also think it's important to understand the unappreciation that many of them display, whether they intentionally or unintentionally do that. Because for him to say, okay, how can we protect each other, as if he doesn't see black women out here regularly protecting black men. Black women will literally use themselves as human shields to protect black men. There are black women that will bail black men out of jail, that are trying to protect them from police.
Yeah, and so that's the sister had disagrees with the delivery of the gentleman. One thing I would say about this concept of black women fighting, and this is definitely something that, although it's appreciated, it's definitely not necessary. I don't think there should be scenarios where black women are fighting for black men. And once again, people always are confused about why I push certain diagrams. And here's the one here. Black men protect black women and black children. Black women protect black children, you see. So just, black men should be protecting, should be the front force. Obviously, if something goes wrong and certain have things that a black woman has to know to defend herself, this kind of stuff, but there shouldn't really be much need for a black woman to put herself in harm's way to defend black men, and this is very crucial. This is something we have to review if it goes on. That is still in some scenarios, and definitely this concept we discussed where black men seem to have visuals of them protecting anti-black people over black women. This is also concerning and something for us to discuss. But Empress Kushti and Brother Kel, would you like to have any thoughts before we wrap up, or we can extend if it need be? But now's your time.
Yeah, brother, I was gonna say that, the solution, brother, is that the black man, he needs to write down, as I said, to understand impatience, insecurities, and anxiety. He needs to understand those meanings and words, and he needs to exchange a cool temperament in dealing with that when he translates a scientific language to the feminine counterpart. When he's understood that, he needs to do a campaign of whether renting a building for now or buying a building where the African woman can go there and talk about her problems, right? It cannot be a non-African institution, unfortunately. Renting may have to be for now. And then after that, brother, then that's when we can organize security in the neighborhoods, as what Brother Dean Okai was mentioning about the ADPAC, which is a brilliant strategy and formation. But that needs to be the solution. If I look at it from a Pan-Africanist aspect, the understanding the impatience, insecurities, anxiety, challenging that, and then having like an institution or renting for the African woman to go, and then campaign a security movement for them to go to. But it can't just be anything though, brother, because there's catch to it. You know, it has to be security for reasons for being attacked or by non-African people or African people. It cannot be used as a thing where that person irritated me, so you need to do that. No, it has to be a government principles of times where the black woman needs to be protected. Sorry.
Thank you, Brother Cal. And Empress Christie, any final thoughts?
Yeah, just to reiterate, I agreed with what the brother said in the video, that I think it's now time to maybe change the narrative and maybe not just speak to it from one of our halves, from women, but hear from the man's point of view, the positive, constructive black men as well. As I highlighted what happened with the woman who got attacked, and then there was a reaction from the black brothers within the community, or even what happened with the little girl, unfortunately on her way to school, as a reaction here in London, where that was seen as not tolerated. I just feel that this needs to be a constant thing. Like, it needs to just be highlighted that it's not tolerated, and there are a load of constructive brothers out there doing their part and not having that to be a standard, as well as you do all the time on this panel, to have a space where women can openly express their feelings without having to worry about other people's feelings necessarily. So I think all of that will combine in it just being a bit more of a positive, a bit of a positive for our community.
And I was talking about saying, any women in the forum now or who listen to the show as it's down, if you wish to jump into next week's show or you have a topic, let me know. You're always welcome to join in, and hopefully as the weeks go by, we can set up a scenario and situations where you can express yourselves and we can find solutions. So that's what we look forward to. Week by week, we see what we can do. I'm not too sure of next week's topic, because usually the topics go by whatever's happening in the community at the time, or things that's been planned in the future in advance, or people make requests. So obviously, if black women, there's some things you want to go over, we definitely will. Brother Cal, an amazing contributor, has given some amazing institutional ideas that seem constructive and beneficial. And as usual, Empress Christie has given her perspective. We do look forward to more female contribution. Male, we have males and females, but we definitely want man and woman. We definitely want to get both perspectives of man and woman. And sometimes, men come together and they might dominate. So we definitely want to invite and extend for the women in the group to have their say. And we do want to get this kind of collective training going, where more so at this point from women to men, the women should not feel responsible for the emotional reactions to truth. One of the goals we try to set up as men is the ability to face truth, no matter how damning or how bamboozling or whatever word is. This is the thing that is part of the great training, and we do have to work. Now, I understand some women might not want to harm the men, or they might feel a way about having a certain argument. So hopefully we can use this platform to find the methods. And Brother Kel has given some amazing things that we can review. So hopefully you guys can review the tape, go through and do some of the exercises. And I haven't forgot, we definitely want to get the young individuals on the show, and we definitely want to get more women. So until next time, everyone, thank you very much. Black Bear, until next time, I hope to see you guys again. And yeah, fantastic. Thank you very much. All right. And the